Today, joining me on my journey to democratise video for business is a coach who coaches female business leaders to create more fulfilled, extraordinary lives. And she's formerly a sales director who left it all behind to create and live a life of her own design. This is Video for All. My name is Julian, where I ask the question, if customers love them and it's never been easier to make them, and we no longer need to be perfect to be on them, then just what is it that is stopping us and our businesses adopting this wonderful, powerful tool called video? Welcome, Claire.
Thank you, Julian. What a lovely introduction. It's great to be here with you in this conversation.
Claire, in your words, who do you help and why?
Well, exactly as you said, female business leaders mostly. I work with men too, but I resonate because of my journey with female business leaders. I was a sales director, leading and coaching sales teams for the majority of my career. And through that, and my seniority and my sort of working through my career, I felt that the more senior I got, the more I started experiencing feelings of imposter syndrome. And so after doing a 2-year psychology course and learning more about our mind, I really understood what it was. I didn't even know what it was at the time, but I understood what it was. And actually a lot of people suffer from it. So through my business, I just wanted to share what I know about how our mind works, what imposter syndrome is, what self-doubt is, what fear is, and how people can smash that to move through to create a life by their own design.
Well, let's talk about imposter syndrome because, like you say, it is way more common and it surprises so many people if you actually dig into this to find out, very senior leaders, very people on the world stage, people in front of the camera, writers, actors, sports people, military people, educators. There are so many people you would think who have got it all together and they have this nagging voice inside of them that they're not that great and one day they're going to get caught out a bit. So because you coach women, let's talk about, you can talk about both, but talk about imposter syndrome and, women, particularly in the workforce.
Yeah, well, I think it's a massive misunderstanding and assumption that we think that we have to have it all together. Like, there's an innocent misunderstanding that we should be perfect, that once we get to adulthood, we should know it all, we should be it all. But we're all just doing the best with what we think, right? And so that's a big catalyst for making people feel not good enough, because we have these super high expectations of ourselves. We look at others and we compare ourselves without knowing their journey, without knowing what's going on in their head and their heart. And we look to them and we go, we should be more like them. So expectations are the cause of all our suffering. And the expectation is that we should be perfect. And there's no such thing as perfect. So we're almost always on this like hamster wheel to try to get somewhere, to try to get there. And there's not even a place to get to. It's not even possible. So it's really more about accepting who we are, where we are, and that our journey is right for us. That's a big part of the whole seeing through imposter syndrome.
Yeah, and that's so important when it comes to video and taking the first steps, is because I was just doing a coaching session just before, and the person was saying, I've got to think of something, really smart and interesting to say. And I go, well, actually, you don't, because, you know so much about what you know, and I and basically, the bulk of the rest of the world have no idea about. And so it's exactly the same as talking to someone, a customer, a client, if you were sitting at a coffee table with them, to show up on video. And I always think with the imposter syndrome, because I get it, I'm human, but it's crazy. Remember the yellow pages? Remember the phone book? So
back in the good old days.
Yeah, go back. But you imagine going into that, and if you go through and you look at how many industries, how many jobs, how many variations on a theme there are in there, and if you don't put your hand up and say, I don't know, what you're essentially saying is that I know everything about every possible, permutation in that yellow phone book. And of course, that's ridiculous. Yet we're pressured by society, by education, not to want to put our hand up. And this holds a lot of people back. Particularly when it comes to showing up on video. So, what was your trigger to start showing up on video? When did you start?
I started probably about 3 years ago now. I've been pretty visible on LinkedIn for a while, and I just, kept hearing about the power of video as a connection point, right? So I knew that it was something I needed to do as a coach. Having, or really any business actually, but more so as a coach, because it's about people getting vulnerable and sharing themselves, right? So you've got to create that relationship. And so video is a great way of building relationship with people, building another level of connection off the page. And so, I had what everyone has, to start off with, was thinking, what do I know? What am I going to say that it's going to be? Why do I think that I've got anything to say that people want to listen to? So I had all that going on. And one day I just thought about a client that I was working with who was in real pain, that she just started working with me. And so I thought about her, and I thought about the message that I needed her to hear. And I got really focused and clear and very compassionate about her pain. And so I did a message as if I was speaking directly to her heart. And it was, I very rarely watch my videos back, but that was the first one that I watched back, and I really saw just a level of authenticity of what I was trying to say. Now, that message was not perfect. It was by all means, clunky, and but you could see that I was connecting. And so I uploaded it, and everything went from there. And that was probably my best advice that I give anyone. And no doubt you've said this to your people as well, your community as well. But you're not talking. I think the biggest thing is that we think that we're talking to everyone. Even when I'm creating posts, I am speaking to one person's heart. What do I want that one person to say? And it's the same with videos. If you just think about what's one person, and what do they need to hear from you today, that's the message you send. That's what video is all about.
Yeah, it's interesting that people want to, we come back to perfectionism. And you were saying that you made that video, it wasn't perfect, but you were just speaking to one person. So let's extrapolate, let's take that off and put that into the real world. You were sitting opposite someone in a coffee shop. Imagine if you had, going to meet someone, a client in a coffee shop, and then you turned up and you delivered this perfect speech, like you were literally just like doing a scripted version, talk to them, they would just recoil back and go, "What? Who are you? What's going on?" And it's a
Yeah.
mistake that a lot of people make about video, and particularly I think on LinkedIn. This works so well on LinkedIn, is to just show up and be vulnerable and say that I'm imperfect and do exactly what you were saying. Talk to one person like you are having a conversation with them.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. And being in sales, there's the know, like, trust factor. People want to know you, but they want to know that you're like them. And so if you can imagine, we're all sitting here thinking that we're not perfect. We're all sitting, thinking about all our faults and what's wrong with us. And so we want the person across from us, or the person that the best connection we have is with the person that is like us, that's also got faults, it's also got imperfections. So perfect, there's no such thing as perfect to start off with, but it's actually not even very attractive. In reality, it's not even really very attractive.
Yeah, yeah. With when you're working with sales, did you ever work with sales teams having to help them use video? Was that ever part of your remit? No. Okay.
No,
Right. Right.
no,
Uh,
not,
uh,
not in those days.
yeah. And so you talk a lot about self-esteem. I was looking through your site there. Just tying that into video, where does self-esteem fit, and how much of a problem is it out there, do you think? Or lack of
Um,
self-esteem?
yeah, I think it's a huge challenge for a lot of people. It's something that we can work on continuously, and I'm always working on myself in that area, because the cornerstone of all our results is how much do we love ourselves. And so it's really the first place we should be starting is, what do I love about myself? What is my worth? What is my value? So yeah, but it's not something that we're ever taught, right? We don't
Yeah.
get taught in school. In fact, it's the opposite. Certainly growing up in New Zealand and here being in England, I'm sure Australia's the same. If you love yourself, like it's seen as a negative, seen as you're full of yourself. So people look down on people that love themselves. And I'm not talking about a conceited, egotistical. I'm talking about actually waking up and looking at yourself in the mirror and going, I love you. I really love everything that you're about. It's important. It's very important. And it's the basis of, what can we offer? If we don't think that we've got anything to offer because we don't value ourselves and we don't love ourselves, then the energy that we put out is going to be of that too. So we're going to get a lackluster response because people feel our energy. People buy our energy. So for me, it's a really important part of who we are, which is why it's a really important part of everything I do with my coaching.
Yeah, and the reason I just wanted to talk about that is I want people to understand that lack of self-esteem is not a life sentence. I spent a great part of my life struggling with low self-esteem, and I'm different now. I'm not perfect, but I show up on video. I think I have great value to put out there. So it is a journey, and don't think that because you see people turning up and they've done this a lot. And remember, your 100th video, your 200th video, your 20th video is always going to be better than your first video. This is not your first rodeo. It's not my first rodeo. It would be an expectation that we've got this, a bit more comfortable. So, but just I want people to not be fooled out there by what you see up here is not an indication of the journey to get to this point.
Absolutely. Look, practice makes progress. I say that all the time. Practice makes progress. Progress makes mastery. The only way you get good at something is to keep doing it. And in order to get good at something, you have to start. You look at anyone who's great or who's seen as a master in what they do, they started somewhere and they were terrible. We've all got to start somewhere. And I come back to our expectations. I think we expect of ourselves to be great when we start, and we're just not going to. We have to accept that we are where we are. And once we have that self-acceptance, then we can sort of let ourselves off the hook and let our flaws and our imperfections come out into the light. I was doing videos in New Zealand in my bathrobe because I was doing a daily challenge where I was walking down to the beach. I was going to go swimming, and it was in the middle of winter. So the thing that would give me comfort was in my bathrobe. So I'd get up and do videos in my bathrobe. I'm hair everywhere, like no makeup, nothing, just raw. This is me. But and seeing that, people kind of like it. They want to see the flaws. They want to see the imperfections because, like I say, they want to go, yeah, me too. I get her.
Yeah.
I'm like her.
Yeah, that was such a great point that you brought in before, is that with no like and trust, people want to know that, you're a person like them. Oh, maybe we could, I like doing business with people like you. So, yeah.
Yeah.
So what do you think in your experience stops people showing up on video? So with your clients now, just given that video is now just as essential as being able to send an email. It's becoming an essential business skill. What's stopping people showing up?
It's the thing that stops us from doing everything, which is just it's our thoughts. Our thinking stops us from doing anything, and it's the thought that says, I could never do a video. I could never be like that. I could never be like you. Or who am I? What have I got to say? What do I know? Why would people want to listen to me? All those, they're thoughts. They're thoughts that we have. And actually, for some people, it's more than just thinking. It's a belief. It's a firm belief that is truth. Someone's at my door. So we have to look behind the thinking and really start to see. Again, it comes back to looking at what value do we have to share. What do I know that can help another person?
Yeah. Now, I'm
Those
not
are the
going to
things.
assign any metric to this or actual years, but in the broadest terms, do you think it's easier for younger women or older, more mature women to turn up on video these days?
I think it's all, I mean, I really think it's, well, I guess younger women are, it's more of a natural thing for them, right? So if you think about online dating, for example, like video calls is very popular these days. You know, to validate whether someone's real, to get through the catfish, let's have a video call. So people, I think younger women potentially, like, I don't know this, but I'm just assuming, like, from the way that they're growing up with social media and video calling, all that sort of stuff, that it potentially is more normal for them. But I think that the fact that we're always stopping ourselves with our own thinking, that's young, old, that's all of us. That's men, women. It doesn't matter who we are. Like, the thought processes that stops us from taking action is always, that's for all of us.
Yeah, it's interesting because I find like most of my clients are mature women. And I think that is because they have reached a stage in their life where they've got clarity of thought, they've got clarity of message, which is hugely important. But they've also got that conviction now that now it's in a sense becoming now and never. If I want to get this out to the world, if I want to make an impact, so yeah, it's not. I mean, I have no strong thoughts on older or younger. It's just something I like to discuss to see if anyone can
And
enlighten me.
I guess when you're saying that, Julian, like, as you get older, and again, this isn't a generalization, but as you get older, you do seem to worry less about other people's opinions as you get more, comfortable and confident in your own skin as well. There is an element of that too. But again, I don't think there's a generalization around that.
Yeah.
It looks like the sun's dancing on my top.
That's okay. It's a lovely sunny morning there in the UK. So with your videos that you make, how much effort do you need to put in?
I put zero effort in, to be honest. I started trying to put effort in. Like, I started doing a video on, like just talking on my computer to start off with, and it was such a time faff. It was ridiculous. I remember one day just going, I was walking to the tube station, and I just started talking, like I was saying, to that person on my way to the tube station. And weirdly enough, I found that because I was walking, because I was looking for, cars, as well as talking, it's almost like I wasn't putting so much thought into what I was saying. I wasn't trying to be perfect. I was just getting something done while doing something else. And so that started my infamous walking, talking videos. And of course, all videographers, when I went to get coaching tips afterwards, were like, don't ever walk and talk. But it worked for me. So I just do that now. And I could be out in my running gear. If I've got something to say, I will immediately record it and then upload it. The only effort actually is the captions that I do later. So that takes about 10 minutes.
Right. So, but what are the consequences to your business of not putting the effort, the polish on your videos?
Well, for me, I mean, look, you in business, as you know, you're always targeting a certain niche. So I'm not going to get everyone, and there are going to be people that look at my videos, see me in my bathrobe, and think, this girl's so unprofessional. I would never work with her. That's fine. Those are the people that I'm not targeting either. I'm targeting people that are like me, that get that, they just want to be normal. They want to be natural. And so I'm targeting a specific niche, and that's why I can just be who I am and what I do. So for me, not putting effort in actually brings me more clients because people are attracted to that. People are attracted to my energy.
Yeah, I'm so glad you just said that because that is such a common theme when I ask that question. And it's important that everyone understands that there really is no negative consequence. It's about turning up. It's about putting your face on there. It's about letting people build that know, like, and trust. If you can spend a little bit of time and make the wrapper look a little nicer, sure, but it should never stop you turning
Yeah.
up.
And I
So,
think
and
just on that, Julian, I think
yeah,
the trust factor, we talk a lot about the no like. The trust factor is, as you just said, showing up. Like the consistency is
yeah,
really important. That's something I've always made myself do, even when I don't feel like it. I show up because you want your potential customers to know that they can rely on you. There she is. There she is again. You know, like there's a trust factor that comes with just being consistent, with showing up and sharing all that's going on for you as well, not just the good stuff.
yeah. And that is the power of video, because you can show up 24/7. You can show up while you're sleeping. And it's just such a wonderful strategy. What tools do you use for your videos?
I use a closed like for my captions. I use it's called CC Captions. It's just an app on the iPhone. I use Kinemaster, and I use the iMovie if I'm doing something on my computer as well. So I'm very basic. I'm not technical at all. So if anyone's that's saying, I could never do it because I'm not technical. I am so not technical. I'm a total dinosaur when it comes to tech. But I've found the most basic of tools and they're really easy to use.
Yeah.
And so
And
now with Kinemaster, actually, it's great because I can actually chop and, like if I'm doing a lot of pauses and I want to get something under a minute, then I can chop and split and, I'm getting a little bit more technical with it, but only to because it's such an easy app to use.
yeah, Kinemaster for people who are listening, it's Kinemaster. And it's a editing app. It's iOS and Android. You can use the free version, but it puts a watermark on it. But the paid version is very cheap. It's a couple of dollars a month or a yearly subscription. But it doesn't matter whether you use Kinemaster. It doesn't matter whether you use one I recommend, which is CapCut, CapCut, which is a free editing platform. It's just brilliant. It just enables you to be able to, when you've recorded your video, like you, Claire, you're walking down the street, you got, or at the beach in the bathrobe on, is that when you grab your coffee, you can sit down and in the interstitial moments, or those moments in between the bigger things you're doing in your life, you can actually just do a quick cut, tidy up the start, tidy up the end, put some captions on, and go export, and then bang, you can literally from there send it up to the world, send it up to LinkedIn. Which is a question I want to ask you: why LinkedIn? Is LinkedIn your main platform?
Mm. I love it, Julian. I
Yeah,
just love LinkedIn. I love it's such a supportive platform. It's not just a tool for business. I've got collaboration opportunities. Look at us. We met through LinkedIn. So I've had lots of collaboration opportunities. I've met some incredible people. I've created a wonderful community, and I win business on LinkedIn as well. So I got it's wholeheartedly built my business over the last 3 years since I've been on it.
yeah. This is why I like LinkedIn. I'm not on other platforms. It's where I go to have idea sex. It's where it's where I go to get, your ideas and my ideas come together, and we get new little ideas out of it. It's just,
Yeah,
just, I just find it a wonderful platform. And I think you have to,
yeah,
I don't know, it's interesting because I talk to other people, like, oh, I don't like LinkedIn. Like, I love LinkedIn. So
I
I
love
think
it.
there's a personality thing, in there. Yeah.
Yeah, that's each to your own. There's enough platforms out there for everyone, right, to find one that suits you. And I would certainly say find a platform and give it your all, like commit to it, commit to the consistency of it, whichever it is, work with one. I've just started moving on to Instagram over the last 7 months, which I'm loving for just a difference in creativity and the reels and things like that. But I worked really hard in creating a community on LinkedIn and I know it inside out. And I would suggest that people do that before trying to do multi-platforms. You can kind of water yourself down.
Yeah, and just one more thing. If we're talking about that and building that profile, building your community on LinkedIn, if you are making videos, what's your thoughts on there's technology available where you can go live into multiple platforms at once. What do you think about going into multiple platforms versus talking specifically to one audience at a time?
Well, it depends how you've created your community, because if you're talking to one audience at a time, you're still talking to your niche, right? Whether it's on LinkedIn or Instagram, I'm still talking to my specific niche. Again, it's that watered down. How evolved is your community on both platforms? What worked for me, and of course everyone builds their business what works for them, so there's no one way, but what worked for me was mastering one platform. And so that would be going live to LinkedIn rather than multi-platforms. But look, it really is each to their own.
Yeah. Claire, is there anything else you want to share?
No, I'd just say, look, to your community and the people that are watching that, and I know and I feel and I understand how nerve-wracking it can be to go to video. But the first step's always the hardest, just taking action and doing. The journey is a beautiful evolution from that, and you'll never look back. And you'll get to one stage where it's your 10th video or your 50th or your 100th, and you will look back and say, what was I ever worried about? It's inevitable if you just keep doing, keep practicing.
And we're talking about LinkedIn. I think there's no better place than LinkedIn to do your first video, because the nature of the people on LinkedIn, the nature of the comments is way more supportive than the other platforms. And I found for people who've gone and done their first video, generally they're very surprised at the support that they get back. And it's also, there are so many people watching who are going, I wish I could do that too. And you get like applause from the sidelines just for showing up and giving it a go.
Totally. And LinkedIn's, like you say, LinkedIn's a great for that. If you even say, this is my first video, watch the support you get. Like it's a really incredible platform. And to remember, I think with any social media platform, this is another thing that stops people, because they think, oh my gosh, millions of people are going to see my video. And so it only goes out to how big your community is. It only goes out to sort of between 3 and 5% of your community. So I've got 13,000 followers, whatever, but only 3 to 5% of my community will see my video until people start engaging. So if you've got an audience of 1,000, then think 3%, if they even see it. So that I think that thought of like millions of people are going to see me and they're all going to think I look like an idiot, it's just not true. That thought is not true. So don't let it stop you.
Yeah.
And
so
tag
Claire,
me in, tag Julian, right? And tag us all in, because we'll support you for sure.
Yeah, oh, definitely. So Claire, if people want to work with you, follow you, whatever with you, how do they connect with you?
Well, you can connect with me on LinkedIn, so Claire Sewell, Sewell, or on Instagram is @Claire Swell, Swell, because my business is Swell Coach. So or my website, www.swellcoach.co.uk.
Well, Claire Swell, thank you so much. You just stay there for one moment, just while I wrap things up here.
I will.
So if you want a safe place to experiment with the technology to get clarity and help with clarity around your message, and to get comfortable in front of the camera so you can start showing up and winning more trust, more authority, more clients, come and join us at the new Video Professionals Club. You will be in the good company of people like you solving problems like yours. Bye.